The worst thing we could do in the middle of a recession is raise taxes. That would only make our recession last longer. And under 1033, the state, the counties, the cities, they can't increase taxes, can't jack up fees, they cannot artificially inflate property valuations, they can't take any more money from the taxpayers unless they ask our permission at the ballot box. I think it is self-evident that this initiative is beneficial to taxpayers because it keeps taxes low, allows the private sector to be able to grow. It's positive for the taxpayers. I would argue that it's good for the economy because right now the last thing we need is higher taxes, and that's only going to make these bad conditions last even longer. But I sincerely believe that having this kind of fiscal discipline brought upon government by the people is good for the government too. Because I don't believe that what we just lived through for the last 4 years was good for the government either. So it's not like the voters aren't willing to acknowledge the fact that maybe sometimes more revenue is necessary, but they want to make sure that their government has exhausted every other option before they look at the taxpayers.
The state of Colorado adopted a very similar measure in 1994. 15 years later, the voters repealed it because of the incredible impacts that it had across the board in the state of Colorado. A bipartisan coalition of business leaders led the fight to overturn the law. During that time, the proportion of low-income children who lacked health insurance in Colorado doubled. Funding for K-12 education, as did their performance, plummeted. The ability to keep up their roads and bridges became the laughingstock of the Rocky Mountain region. And at the end of the day, the supposed payoff did not materialize. I want fiscal discipline. I don't want to see my property taxes go up any more than the rest of you do. But I also don't want property tax relief on the backs of the poor in the state and on the backs of the businesses in the state.
Colorado, I don't think is a third world country, but based on the description today, it's really not. It's a nice place. But they voted to bring back this policy that they suspended for a couple of years. So how bad can it be in Colorado that they have decided to bring it back next year? Colorado's proposal is totally different than ours. I can guarantee you that in the 2010-2011 legislative sessions, they're going to be looking at all of you guys as somehow you guys have a bottomless wallet. I don't think you have that right now, and I think we need this protection.
This measure is here for one reason. This is Tim Eyman's 17th initiative. We are here because this is his job to offer up initiatives. He is not offering up creative solutions to our state, and he believes that if we have the lowest property taxes in the country, that somehow this is a positive thing. I have family from Alabama, which has the lowest property taxes in this country, and one of the worst education systems, the highest rates of obesity, worst public health systems in the nation. We have higher aspirations for our state and our citizens than Mr. Eyman does. And we need to invest to make sure that those aspirations are met to secure the health and the education of the citizens of this state. Yakima County just had a massive mudslide. 2 years ago, Chehalis and Centralis were under 10 feet of water. Things happen that drive up the cost of government. 1033 offers no flexibility to address those. So when these natural disasters or health disasters come, where's that money going to come from? It's going to come out of the basic services that we already want to deliver in this state.
I'm wondering how much income you're getting from this initiative.
Unfortunately, I'm in the negative. I took a second mortgage on my house and loaned the campaign $250,000 to help it get qualified for the ballot. So I certainly am going to go to our supporters because it is a loan, not a gift because I'm not a wealthy man. And I'm going to ask our supporters, if you like the work that we did, please help me pay this thing off. But at the end of the day, I mean, really, when you think about it, if the best argument the other side has is that vote no on 1033 because Tim Eyman's a bad guy, if that's really all they've got, we're dealing with a really intellectually bankrupt argument because at the end of the day,
there's not been a single argument without question of veracity.
No.
You just accused me.
No, I'm saying that TV ads and every campaign sign has me on it. So think about that. The opposition is trying to convince you that because it's a policy you may agree with, but it's sponsored by somebody you probably shouldn't like, then maybe you should vote no. Think about that for just a second. It's the opposition to any limit whatsoever on how much government can automatically take from us. And under 1033, they'll get an increase every year, but if that's not enough, they have to make the case to the voters. So please consider it. I think it's a good initiative, but that judgment call as far as the ballot box is yours on November 3rd. Thank you.
If 1033 passes, the sun will rise the following day. It really will, you know. And so the way they make it sound is, oh my God, you know, death, destruction, the end of Western civilization. If it passes, it'll become the new normal. And so I think it'll end up being a very good thing.